Hello everybody, welcome! Welcome to our cells lesson. We've done physics, we've done forces, we're starting on biology. So excited. Now, my name's Lara, if you don't know me. Hello, this is my science communication business. We're talking about cells. Now, I've talked a lot about atoms in the past. Atoms, teeny tiny particles, don't really do very much. They're not living, certainly. You can get atoms of oxygen, atoms of hydrogen, atoms of carbon. You put them all together, you get bigger particles, and you can make stuff with them. I have described atoms as Lego bricks before and said that they're like the building blocks of everything. It's not a great comparison. Hello, Benji. A better comparison is that Lego bricks are like cells. So if you think of atoms as being the teeny tiny little particles of plastic inside a Lego brick, which make the Lego brick, you could think of a Lego brick as being a cell. Cells are the smallest possible thing you can get that is alive. And you can get all different kinds of cells which team up together to make incredibly complex things that are alive, like us. Obviously, we've got lots of different cells in our body. Our hair is a different cell to our teeth, is a different cell to our blood cells. Or you can get living things that are just one cell big and kind of like a Lego brick. They might not be very interesting, but they can still like hurt you. You could, I don't know, paint with them. You get the idea. Cells are the building blocks of life. They're in us, they're everywhere. Let's talk about the history of cells, all right? So, Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth was just a big, hot rock. No moss, no algae, no plants, nothing. And then, this little guy comes along. Oh, good question, Ian. Is water a cell? No, water's just a collection of particles, but water isn't alive. Cells are living things. This little living thing pops up 3.5 billion years ago. It's called a prokaryote. Bacteria are actually prokaryotes. Now, this living thing has got a few things that we need to talk about and remember if we are dealing with cells. I've labelled them for you now. It's got a cell membrane. Cell membrane. And it's got something called cytoplasm in it as well, which is this jelly-like stuff in the middle. We will come back to those things. Cytoplasm. But this thing is alive. But what does that actually mean? What does it mean when a thing is alive? I want you to think about that. So biologists have 7 things that they say something has to do if it's alive. 7 things that it has to do. If it only does 5 of them, it's not alive. It's got to do all 7 of these things. So your first question is, I've got 12 things here that might describe a living thing. Can you pick out which 7 are correct, please? Only 7 of these things all living things do, all right? Do you get it? So, for example, you have to have lungs to breathe. So obviously some living things breathe, like humans breathe, but trees don't breathe because they haven't got lungs. Plants don't breathe. Bacteria don't have lungs, so we're going to cross out breathe. You don't have to breathe to be alive, but 7 of these things you have to do. Tell me which 7, please. Hello, Gosia. What happens if it does 6 things? Sarah, well, it's not alive, according to this. I mean, actually, nothing is ever this simple. And there are lots of different definitions for things being alive. But this is the kind of exam answer. Poo, says Ian, question mark. Does everything poo? Do trees poo? I think it was Rebecca that just said they do need to grow. That is correct. They need to have the ability to evolve, actually. Something can't evolve, strictly speaking. We say, isn't release waste and poo the same thing? Nice, Nikki, you've picked up on something. So, release waste and poo are nearly the same thing. Which one do you think it is that all living things do? Sufyan says move. Yes, you're right. They do all need to be able to move. They have to move, grow, take in food, get energy from food. Yes, Alexandra, exactly. They need to be able to get energy from their food. Because if they didn't have any energy, they wouldn't be able to grow or move. So living things all need to be able to move, grow, and to do that they have to get energy from their food. So we'll cross out poo. I think you could say that trees poo, but they definitely release waste. Detect sunlight. Well, do you know of any creatures that aren't near sunlight? Can you think of any creatures that live somewhere where they maybe never see sunlight? Take in food, says Jasmine and Jamie. Yes, well done. You've got to be able to take in food if you're going to get energy from food, haven't you? That's right. So this is good. We're fitting things together. Yes, Nor, exactly. They do need to be able to reproduce themselves. If you're doing well at this, you're thinking, no, this is too easy. Have a go at this. Can you think of anything that is made of cells? There is something that's made of cells that doesn't do most of these things, but scientists are like, I think we could say that it is alive. Detect sunlight. Have you ever heard of the, what's it called? I forgot this yesterday as well. Is it the anglerfish? That dead creepy looking thing with the big teeth that lives at the bottom of the ocean. That never gets any sunlight, but it's still alive. So actually no, you get creatures living in caves that never see sunlight. So they don't need to detect sunlight, but they do, all living things detect their surroundings. And interestingly, all living things rely on sunlight. Like even this anglerfish, it eats stuff that has ultimately come from like the ocean above, like say algae. Fish eat algae and then those fish die and fall to the bottom and the anglerfish eats them. So it relies on sunlight, but it can't necessarily detect it. Matilda's coming in with something. Detects the surroundings, release waste. Nice. So yeah, I think you're all pretty comfortable. They don't have to hear. Plants don't hear, do they? Taking oxygen is a weird one. So have we got all 7 now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, taking oxygen. There is a parasite that lives in salmon. That they've done a lot of studies on. They thought they were wrong, but it turns out a parasite that lives in salmon does not need oxygen. So it's not that one. Almost all living things, if it weren't for this little salmon parasite messing the whole thing up, then. But well done. So let's have a look at what these bits of this cell are doing in order for the bacteria to survive. Okay. Yeah, so the parts of this cell that you've got to remember are the cell membrane and the cytoplasm. Now, if this bacteria is alive, if it's taking in food and it's releasing waste, then obviously stuff is going to have to come into the cell and out of the cell, and that's where the cell membrane comes in. So you could think of the cell membrane as kind of being like a teeny tiny sieve. Hello, Natasha. Think of the cell membrane as sort of being like that. In biology, you would say it's porous. So stuff can get in that the bacteria can eat or digest, use to get energy, and stuff can come out, the waste products of the bacteria. So that's what the cell membrane does. It's just a little porous layer, like a little sieve around the outside. And if this bacteria is going to detect its surroundings, so that if it's something really simple, detecting your surroundings might just mean you can tell when you're in a hot place or a cold place, or you can tell if you're getting too much sun. That involves chemical reactions, and the chemical reactions happen in the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm, you can just think of it, hello Rowan, as being like jelly-like stuff, basically. At this level, even largely at GCSE, it's just jelly-like substance where the chemical reactions happen. So those are 2 bits of a cell we've got to know. So this was 3.5 billion years ago, this popped up. A little bit later, we get this guy. So it's very, very similar, but the DNA in a bacteria is all like loosey-goosey. It's all floating around all over the place. The DNA in any animal cell is kept in a nucleus. So we evolved to have these nucleuses. This cell is called a eukaryote. You don't need to know that, but any creature that has a nucleus in its cells is a eukaryote. We are eukaryotes. So nucleuses a little bit more evolved, you know, a bit better. And that's another word you've got to remember. So now we've got cytoplasm, the jelly-like stuff, a cell membrane that stuff comes in and out of, and we've got a nucleus as well. All cells have this, essentially. We'll forget about bacteria. All the cell pictures that you see will have a nucleus, really, and a cell membrane and a cytoplasm. And they might, if you're over 11, I'll throw this in, they might have these little things as well, which are called mitochondria. Please don't worry about these big words. Like, I don't want you panicking about having to remember words. Mitochondria. Mitochondria. remembering words isn't really how it works, is it? Hello, Alina. Like, you don't want to force words into your head. What we'll do is we'll keep studying cells and plants over the next like 5 weeks, and hopefully they'll just go into your head. If you can't remember it, it's probably just because we haven't talked about it enough yet. So don't worry about the words, it's about the understanding. The mitochondria is where we said that stuff needed to be able to release energy from food to live. The mitochondria is where the energy gets released from the food. Okay, so obviously you can take food in, but you've got to do something with it. It's the little teeny tiny mitochondria, much smaller than the nucleus, and there's more of them all dotted around. They use the food to give the cell energy. Right, see how much of that you can remember. So the answer, by the way, according to your exams, if you want a way to remember why things are alive or how things are alive, you can say Mrs. Gren. I didn't show you that because some of the words were a bit weird, like excretion is a posh word for sort of pooing or getting rid of the stuff in you that you don't want. But yeah, you could remember Mrs. Gren if you're about to do GCSEs. Right, here we go. This is just to help you practice really with these words and what they mean. Don't panic if you don't know this. You can just give your brain some exercise and then I'll tell you in a minute. But can you please match the names and the descriptions to the bits of this animal cell here? Ah, nice, Reggie. Yeah, of course mitochondria were mentioned in the magazine, weren't they? Oh, yeah. Yeah, mitochondria totally blow my mind, actually. Ethan would like to know how trees move. Well, they do grow, don't they? And they move, you know, like a... Do you mean trees specifically or plants? Obviously, like, I think the most famous example of plants moving is probably a sunflower, isn't it? If you turn a sunflower away from the sun in a very short time, it will have moved towards the sun. Here we go then. So yes, the cell membrane on the outside controls the movement in and out of the cell. The mitochondria release energy from food. The nucleus is this big one in the middle, which is where the DNA is kept, which sort of controls the cell, you could say, just like our DNA controls us in a way, dictates who we are. And the cytoplasm, the jelly-like substance where many chemical reactions happen. All right. So that's one animal cell. That is the animal cell you will get shown if you do your GCSEs largely. But obviously there are many types of cell. We're going to look at root cells next week. Root cells are very, very long and thin so that they can take in lots of water. Your red blood cells in your blood, they're very flat, so lots and lots of oxygen can stick to them. So what I'd like you to do for me now is think about what changes you would have to make to this cell if it was going to be in a plant stem, all right? So a plant stem cell, a cell that is in a plant stem, it's got all these things, because all cells have these things. It's got a nucleus and a cell membrane that stuff comes in and out of, and mitochondria and cytoplasm, but it's got some other things as well. And instead of just showing you a plant cell, I want to see if you can work it out. So here's some squidgy little cells in your hand. Why couldn't these cells do this job? All right. Imagine a stem of a plant made of skin cells. Obviously, apart from being immensely creepy, it wouldn't be a very good stem. Why not? And there's a few reasons. Bacteria can make you sick, yeah. But they're also like massively important. Bacteria are amazing. They've been alive for 3.5 billion years. And they colonise everywhere, like they're found in the deepest oceans, they're found on the tops of mountains. Oh, Betty, come on, that's some knowledge, isn't it? Yes, chloroplasts are needed. Oh, Nicola as well, yeah. So, well, Ian, like I've said, don't freak out about getting this one right. This is just, it helps you remember if you've had to think about it. If I just show you a plant cell, you won't remember it as well. Okay, so some people know that the cells of a plant that are green capture light from the sun, and they use that to make their food. You might know this. When the sun shines on a plant, it uses the sunlight to make sugars, and it's the green bits of the plant that do that. I'll show you why in a minute. But yes, you're absolutely right. It would need to be green. So yeah, you'd have to put something green into these cells so that it can capture sunlight. Nice, Miranda. The plant would just fall over. Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to have to do something to these animal cells to make them a bit stronger, stiffer. Exactly. Yes, Justine's got it as well. Yeah, it would be too flimsy. The stem would fall down. So there's a couple of things that a plant cell does to make it nice and stiff so that it doesn't fall over. I will show you them now. A plant cell is beautiful. It looks like this. So it's still got a nucleus, it's still got mitochondria, It's still got cytoplasm, and it has got a cell membrane, which is this bit on the inside, but it's also got some extra bits. Like some people mentioned, don't worry, we'll do photosynthesis in a couple of weeks, which is how plants make their food. But the chloroplasts, which are about the same size as the mitochondria, they help the plant to make food using sunlight. It's got a cell wall, so a lot of people saying that a stem made of skin cells would be gross and floppy. It's got a cell wall which is very, very rigid. Now, a lot of GCSE marks are won or lost with about like 3 millimeters difference. Please note the cell wall is on the outside of the cell, which makes sense because it's like keeping it stiff and upright. And the cell membrane is on the inside, okay? So that's the cell membrane, but plant cells have got this extra cell wall around them. We will look at some cell walls in a minute when we look at an onion cell. And they've also got this vacuole, which is an amazing thing. It's kind of like a balloon. Imagine a balloon in the middle of a cell, which can fill with water. So plants have got sap, that's where the sap is kept. But yeah, its main job really is to help stiffen the cell. So if you give a plant plenty of water, the vacuole will fill with water and the balloon will sort of push on the inside of the cell, and that makes it what we call turgid. It just helps it to stay very rigid in the same way that a balloon full of air would be sort of nice and stiff. If you don't water your plant and it gets all droopy, it's because the vacuoles don't have enough water in them, so it's kind of like a balloon that's sort of all squishy and not very nice. So that's why you've got to water your plants. Keep the vacuoles topped up. Right, I'm not going to ask you to remember all those because we're going to look at these a lot. Like I say, we're going to look at photosynthesis and leaves a bit later on. What we're going to do now is have a look at some onion cells because they're nice and big, and if you do this right, which you might not, it's very hard and unpredictable, but if you do this activity right, you might be able to see the cell walls of the onion and the cytoplasm. If you do it really well, you might be able to see the nuclei, a nucleus. I have not seen a nucleus yet, but let's have a go. If we were in a classroom, then we would spend a whole lesson looking at onion cells through a microscope, all right? I would have it all set up when you came in, and as soon as you got into the room, I'd be like, try and look for onion cells, go, go, go. It'll probably take you about an hour. What you would do is you would chop an onion and peel it so you can get a tiny, thinnest skin of onion that kind of hides between the layers. Do you know what I mean? Let's do that now. Ask an adult, won't you, to chop it up if you're small and you don't use knives at home. Here we go. So if you peel away one of the layers, oh yeah, lovely. Then you get this really, really thin skin that biology teachers have been utilising for hundreds of years. Here we go. So this bit here, yeah, the really, really thinnest bit you can find. Oh, what a satisfying noise. Try and peel off a nice big chunk. Oh, beautiful, right. Oh, this is going to be a good one, I can tell. Okay, here we go. So I've got a nice big bit of onion skin. Hope you're doing this too. Now, in a classroom, what you would do is put that on a microscope slide, tiny bit of glass, add some iodine dye, and then you'd put a little really, really thin bit of glass cover slip on top of it, or you drop it on the floor and I would find it under your chair after the lesson and be cross with you. I haven't got cover slips and things, so what we're going to do is, again with permission from the person who owns it, put this on top of a torch instead. There we go. And then liquid food colouring doesn't work. If you've got some posh solid food colouring, which I have from when I made a wedding cake ages ago, that works. Or if you've got a permanent marker, Louise, I'm making you cry through the screen. If you've got a permanent marker, and again you've asked permission from the person whose torch it is, you could give it a little colour in with a permanent marker. I'm going to use my posh food colouring. Such good value, this. I can't remember how much it was, but I've had it for like decades. It goes so far. Right, here we go. I'm going to put a bit of food colouring on there. And all that does, it really doesn't matter if you haven't got anything to colour it with. The idea is that it makes the cell walls stand out a bit better. But plenty of people did it without yesterday and it looked really good. So yeah, usually what we would do is we would put that on top of a microscope and then you turn a light on so light shone from the bottom, but we don't need to do that because we've put it on a torch. And then a microscope has two lenses. It's got an eyepiece, and then it's got a variety of objective lenses you can use. What a lens is basically is just a curved bit of glass. And the curvier the glass is, the more magnified the object is, the bigger the image is that you see. So this glass would give you a slightly big image. This glass would give you a much bigger image. Now, what's that remind you of? Does that look a little bit like a drop of water? Huh? So what we're going to do is, there is a trick you can do on the internet where, please ask permission from the person whose phone it is. Yeah, Braith, I think it actually works better with a red onion. From the photos that were put up on my group yesterday. What the internet thing is, it just says turn your phone upside down, put a drop of water on the camera lens, and then quickly turn it upside down, and what you should end up with is a drop of water suspended from your phone. I'm not going to do that because I think phone cameras have maybe changed a bit since that activity was done. I'm going to get a tiny blob of Blu Tack and make like a tiny ring donut shape with my Blu Tack and stick that over my camera phone and then put a blob of water in that because I think it works better. Okay, do you get it? So you're making a tiny little circle with some Blu Tack, and then we're going to stick it. Someone said that they dropped their phone in a cup of water yesterday. I don't know if they were joking or not, but please don't do that. There we go. It's a little circle of Blu Tack. Going to put that on my phone. If your phone has got a few lenses, then you might have to experiment. So I've got two lenses here. I'm going to put my finger over. Oh yeah, so I know it's the one in the middle. So I'm going to stick a bit of Blu Tack to. Woo! Here we go. To my phone, and then we've got some spams, have we? Oh yes. There we go. Right, then I'm going to use the sharp knife that I used to cut the onion. Again, probably better that you've got an adult with you, isn't it? And using the sharp knife, I'm going to put a drop of water inside the ring of Blu Tack. I haven't damaged my phone doing this so far, and you know, plenty of very smart people online say that it's fine. Feels a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? So I will leave it entirely up to you whether you do it or not. My Blu Tack's in danger of falling off, but there we go. Oh yeah, you really want to be able to see the blob of water. It's sort of the better, basically the rounder your blob of water is, the more magnified your image will be. Yeah, someone said, it was Yolanda the other day, said, oh, you know, you need to show yourself failing so the kids understand that activities don't go right first time. Like my kids keep watching YouTube videos and they keep being really gutted because theirs doesn't work as well as a YouTube video. I think that's going to be all right today, Yolanda. I think I probably will show you myself failing multiple times. Right. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Okay, are you ready to come with me and have a look at this onion skin? So I've turned my torch on so that light is shining through the onion skin. Try and get, if you can, get your torch so that it's flat on a table, because obviously you've got to keep this phone flat or the water will fall off. Right, now I have to work out how to pick you up and hold this at the same time. Tell you what, I'll get my image first and then I'll come back to you. So with a microscope, what you're supposed to do is put the slide on as high up to the lens as it can be and then move the slide downwards to focus it so that you don't accidentally bash your lens into the slide and break it. We can't do that. We're going to keep our slide still and we're going to move the lens instead. So that's what I'm doing now, and then I'm going to bring you down to see it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Come on, phone. I think this is going to be better than yesterday. Oh. You are doing this. Justine's confused what to do. Shall I show you what I've done down here? I'm now holding two phones, which is a slightly confusing situation. There we go. Right, so I've got a bit of onion skin here, which has got some blue dye on it or some permanent marker, but it doesn't have to have it. It's entirely up to you. And I'm going to unflip the phone. There we go. It's a bit less confusing. I'm actually... Oh, I know. Right. I've lost my water on my... What I'm going to do is try getting a blob of water on my phone a different way. I've got a little circle of Blu Tack over my camera phone. I'm going to dunk my camera phone into some water to try and get a nice big droplet on it. Oh, yes, amazing. And then, here we go. Right, so start fairly far back and get the blue torch where you can see it. And then go in. Actually, probably it's better to do it how you do it on a microscope. If you haven't got a good image, you're like there, I think I'm getting a bit of reflection from my torch phone. Oh, there it is. Okay. I think I'm getting a bit of reflection from the water. If you can see things moving, it might well be that... Oh, there we go. Do you see that? Yeah, they just popped up. So it's amazing how, obviously, you guys can maybe keep your hand a bit stiller than me. It's amazing how, like, a millimetre difference it goes away. But, you ready, you ready, you ready? Oh, where was it, where was it? I should have quit while I was ahead. Did you see it, guys? Ah, oh, there it is. Yeah, there they are. So this is what someone called Robert Hooke, that we looked at last lesson before half term, this is what he saw when he looked through a microscope for the first time. He saw what he called cells, because he thought they looked like the little kind of bedrooms that monks in a monastery sleep in. But he was looking at cork. I've just zoomed in a bit more because, yeah, I'm greedy and I want a better image. Bit weird for you, isn't it, because you're looking at it through two screens. There you go. So if you get a better image than that... Oh, yes, I'm quite happy with that, actually. If you get a better image than that, you guys let me know. Sinead said it doesn't work. You have no idea how long I had to do that for, like hours and hours. And then I did a lesson last night and it didn't work for about 45 minutes. So you're gonna have to really persevere. But if you've got the kind of brain that just like wants to stick with things, then it's quite fun. If it doesn't work, it might be that your bit of water has fallen off, or gradually the water kind of dissipates and gets smaller. So you've got to keep topping it up. And okay. Yeah, or your Blu Tack might have fallen off completely, or you might have got the phone camera in the wrong place. There's all kinds of things that might have gone wrong. But if you keep going, put a photo on my group, yeah, because I would love to see it. Right, I'll do my little ad and tell you who I am, because some people are new. And then we'll do the GCSE question that I know a lot of you older ones really love. Get an idea of what you've got coming. Right, so that is the end of our lesson on cells. I hope that you enjoyed that. Like I say, if you managed to see an onion cell, do let me know. Yeah, my name is Lara. I've been doing science shows online since lockdown started. It started off as fun. It's kind of become a job, which is utterly joyous. So on a weekend, have a look on my events page for more details. But Saturday and Monday at the moment, I'm doing a sort of proper show where you bring stuff and we do an activity and we learn about a thing. So this weekend it's sharks, and there's a Lego story time which people get very into. And then, yeah, home ed on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So yeah, if you enjoyed that, you want to support me, and you enjoying coming to the stuff that I do, you could like my Facebook page. That would be super awesome, amazing if you like my Facebook page. Miranda, keep going, keep going. I know, right? Yeah, someone said yesterday I look like a Smurf. If you really enjoyed that and you just want to consume everything that I do, then you could get Theatre of Science magazine sent to your door every 2 months. It's a magazine that I write, which is sort of like the shows. The idea is that it kind of 6-year-olds will get stuff out of it, but also adults would be able to pick it up on a night and be like, oh yeah, cool. My graphic designer husband has illustrated you a little cartoon of Shackleton's adventure, and there's the science of do Yetis exist. It's on snow, this one, because it came out in January. There's everything you need to know about snowy owls. There's how to make a crystal. There's how to fossilise a snowflake. I'm very proud of it. So if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see a button that says sign up. Oh, Heather saw the cells, good. If you click sign up, Sufyan, yeah, unless you want the GCSE questions at the end, then yes, the lesson is finished. You are free to go. Yeah, if you click sign up on my Facebook page, it takes you to this website called Patreon, which is for like podcasts and stuff like that. People who do stuff for free, but you can support them with money if you want them to keep going. So you can support me with £3 or £5 or £10 a month. If you support me with £3, I will send you some rainbow glasses, which make you see rainbows. And they're so cool. And explain to you how they work. And yeah, the £5 a month one, you get the magazine every 2 months. Thank you so much for everyone who has signed up for that. Patrons, if you haven't got yours yet, then send me a message with your address on it, won't you? Because they should, apart from the people who signed up like in the last 2 days, they should all be out by now. Yeah, Lola, home ed is to stay. This isn't a lockdown thing. Home ed is what I do now. Like, it's a job. What happens after lockdown? I love these. Oh, thanks, Lola. Yeah. No, this is my home ed group. You guys are not homeschoolers. Generally, you're home edders. So yeah, I'm going to still be here. In fact, when my kids are in school in September, I'll probably do some GCSE classes as well. And the shows will stay as well for the people who support me who aren't home edders. It's just the 1:30 like chat that is going to stop on a Monday and a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Right, is that everything? Is that it? Do I get to just chat? Oh no, GCSE question, that's right. Okay, come here. 2 GCSE questions for you here. One sort of fairly straightforward one, and one where they're trying to trick you with the thing that they always try and trick you with. Here we go. So this is a legit GCSE question. This is a yeast cell. Very simple eukaryote, see? Parts A and B are found in humans and yeast cells. What are they? So they've been quite kind. Look, they've told you which one the cell wall is. So what is A and what is B? Oh, that's nice, Lola. Yippee! Yeah, Robert, this is my job, which is desperately exciting. I didn't have one when lockdown started. You had a 12 times watchmaker eyeglass, Sarah. No way. Photos. Send me photos. That's amazing. Cell membrane, Kim's just straight in there. Bam. Yes, exactly. Cell membrane and nucleus, exactly. 2-year-old left the lid off this overnight. Cell membrane and nucleus. And the next one, where they've been a little meaner, this is what I would expect from a GCSE question. The diagram shows a white blood cell. Actually, I couldn't get a free image of a white blood cell. This is a fried egg, but they're very similar. What is structure A? Is it the cell membrane, the cell wall, the cytoplasm, or the nucleus? So white blood cells, if you don't know, they are found in your blood. Yes, Meg, exactly. Oh wait, no, Meg, no, that's not right. No, that's what they wanted you to think. Yeah, Mona, exactly. So think about it, right? A white blood cell, it's in your blood. Does it need to sort of stay very straight and rigid? This is good. I mean, actually, I know that you guys don't like getting stuff wrong, but that's kind of the reason we do this, is that if you get stuff wrong when you've just learned something like this in a practice, then you're much more likely to remember it. The answer is, yes, Zach and Chloe, it's the cell membrane. So the cell wall, again, you've only just learnt these words, so don't worry about it, but the cell wall is the bit in a plant cell which goes around the membrane to make it much stiffer, let me show you. So in a plant cell that needs to be stiff, any plant cell, like the onion cells that we just saw, you've got a cell wall around the cell membrane. But animal cells, they don't have cell walls, they've only got cell membranes. Well done, you lot. Tracy, no, it doesn't matter how many times you say it, it's a cell membrane. Exactly, yes, white blood cells, animal cells do not have cell walls. But like I say, this is a GCSE question, so you learn this now, we'll practice it for whatever it is, like 8 years, and then you'll have it by the end, won't you? Right, you lot, thank you very much for coming. All it remains me to do is to just have a little chat with you and answer any questions that you've got. Oh, hi, Alina. Calm down, I thought you were going. Yes, Dolly, that pretty cell membrane well done. Hi, Sophie.